The world's not going vegan, people. No one thinks the world's going vegan, even me. I'm just hoping that there's less pressure on the planet by intensive factories. There's a little bit of reduction by consumers. That means more choice for consumers. So they get to put other things on their plate that they might really like and they just haven't tried or given experience to.
Today's guest, Elysabeth Alfano, firmly believes that one bold idea can transform the way the entire world eats, and she's taking action. As CEO and co-founder of VegTech Invest, Elysabeth spearheads a mission to steer capital into food innovations that better serve our health and our planet. From her early days at Kellogg, working on iconic cereals, to launching her own business ventures, Elysabeth's career is a powerful example of how to pivot with purpose. In this conversation, you'll hear how she brings together finance, tech, and sustainability to create real momentum for plant-based food systems. I'm Laurette Rondenet, and I'm so excited to dive in to Elysabeth's story. Let's get started.
There are huge benefits to age. And of course, society would never tell you that. And sometimes it even disregards you or overlooks you. But I'll tell you the benefit of being in your 50s is you've had the time to try many things. And so I feel that to this point, my life has been really rich. And it might seem to others quite scattered because I've tried many things, but I feel that I've been able to break open my entire skill set and use all the skills that I have in my toolbox. So personally, I find that really rewarding. At the same time, it also allows you to really know yourself. And in that, I feel that I'm much faster to my yeses and I'm much faster to my no's. Because you can waste a lot of time on saying yes to what should have been a no. And I don't make that mistake anymore. So I'm happy for that.
How do you get to your no? Like, what do you...
I almost have a visceral reaction because I know myself better. So now I can say like, that's a bad path for me or the wrong route. Maybe it's a great path for someone else, but for myself, that's going to be a left turn when I want to make a right. And I'll just know that, or I wouldn't have known this before. And so I feel that's a very esoteric answer to your how did you get here?
I love it, but I think it ties into, I love the story of how you knew you were going to be vegan or you became vegan. So back to your childhood part of it. I love that.
That is such a long story. Can I tell that one?
It's a great story. Yes, I love it.
I'll try to give you the Cliff Notes. So when it's my youngest memory, my earliest memory as a kid, meat on my plate. My parents would cut it up for me. I was maybe 5 years old. And I just remember, I cannot eat this. I can't chew it. The whole thing just grosses me out. And I have no idea about animal factories or none of this would make sense to me. But I just knew viscerally, like, I don't want to be around that. And my parents, who love me and I love them back, there's no problem. They were panicked that their kid wasn't going to have enough food. She's going to die, protein, oh my word, these things that aren't accurate. So they were like, no way, young lady, you cannot leave your seat until you eat all your meat. Well, I wasn't kidding. So I would be there for hours, maybe 3 hours. And the whole family would be watching TV. Remember, this was like decades ago, so things are different now in the world. But back then, you were punished for not doing what your parents said. So they'd watch TV. They'd have a great time. I'd hear them laughing in the living room, and I'd be in the dining room by myself for hours.
That makes me sad.
Right? So sad. But it gets worse. So then I don't want to be without everybody. So I start hiding meat in my pants pockets, underneath the radiator, underneath the table. But of course, the meat starts to smell. And and so they find the meat under the radiator. And then they punish me for lying. So now I'm sent to my room, and I'm really not allowed to join the family for family time. So it's in my psyche that meat is something you have to do. You have to eat it. So in my 20s, I sort of get my own voice, and I'll be with my friends and I'll say like, oh gosh, do we have to have pepperoni on that pizza? And this backlash would come to me. I think today we would call this bullying. Oh, you're such a tree hugger. I felt like, what is going on here? Because now we all know about animal factories, and you're making fun of me for bringing up that which basically we all know is wrong. And I thought that's what it means to be an adult, to do what you know is wrong and do it anyway. So you can see I struggled with that. And then all the way into my 40s. Now, I'm a vocal person. All the way into my 40s, I was still going along with it. And then my nephew, who went to the University of Oregon, and he's an athlete, and he played for the University of Oregon football team. The nutrition coach said, if you want to play for my team, no meat, no dairy. And I was like, I flippin' knew it. I knew it all the time since I was 5, and I denied my own voice. I was so mad. I was vegan mid-sentence.
So that was the tipping point.
Yes.
The football coach.
Yes, and because of my parents, I was really sort of waiting for an authority figure to give me that, like, nope, this is the right decision. Although instinctually, I really knew myself. And I was mad that I had denied that voice, but when I heard that voice, I really was vegan mid-sentence.
Is your nephew still vegan?
Pretty much he eats fish now, but pretty much he's kept to it. And he's in his 30s, so.
Did he have a good football career?
Yes, he actually was. University of Oregon has a mascot that's the duck. He actually was the duck.
Oh, that's hysterical.
So, and the duck, the mascots train with the team, and they have to follow the same nutrition. So,
oh, he was the duck.
Yeah, he was the duck. Yeah,
That's
and
pretty cool.
it's actually very athletic. You sweat a lot under that suit. You're doing push-ups and jumping jacks for the crowd. So
that is cool. So, did that moment when you finally found your voice, to me, I feel like, did you ever go back to not finding your voice, or was that in more things than even what you were eating, and that did it affect other parts of your life too?
It did, because it's a very empowering moment when you find your own voice. And as I was saying before, there's benefits to being older. And, I was finding my voice experientially, if you will, in my 20s and my 30s and 40s. It just gets stronger as you get older. But I would say I felt so empowered in that moment by aligning my choices with what I always knew was right and aligning my values with my actions, that I said to myself, this feels great. So remember that feeling when you make those yeses and those no decisions in your life, because you can register what feels aligned because it feels great. And when I went vegan, I thought, oh, this is the right thing to do, and I'm probably going to lose some weight, woohoo. But I never realized what a heavy burden it was to carry around, that I knew I had actions that didn't align with my values. And when I got rid of that, I felt so much lighter. So I became sort of, for lack of a better expression, a little bit happier, if you can believe it, a little bit more smiley even than I am. Now you seem pretty smiley. But, I really just had this weight lifted, and it felt great.
If you haven't already, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for your support. So talk about what your a day in the life of Elysabeth looks like.
Sweet molasses. Ouch. It's busy. I love to take advantage of all that I can in life. And so that means so much more than work. And yet my work is very demanding. So my work might be 8 or 10 hours a day, but the next day you will find me hiking, and that will be 8 or 10 hours a day. So I tend to, when I go at it, I really go at it. And that might mean traveling, that might mean hiking, that might mean yoga. I mean, who knows? And work too, work is in there, or cooking and reading. But I just want to get as much music, as much creativity, as much natural beauty, and as much intellectual stimulation and curiosity and discovery in that I can. And that means every day.
Yeah, and you have quite a demanding public speaking schedule. So I would love you to kind of talk about your passion around that and around really just the food industry. And you've made a huge impact. So dive into that a little bit.
Thank you so much. Well, I love public speaking. It comes to me naturally. I like to be live and off the cuff, and more than anything, I like to be with the audience in the moment that they make that connection. Oh, I didn't know that before. So it almost feels like teaching. I have a history of teaching. I taught here at Columbia College as a way to make money early on for my first business.
And what did you teach there?
I was teaching marketing and management. So I was teaching business practices because I'd graduated business school, and I had left the Kellogg company where I was working on the Special K brand and frosted mini wheats. So I started my career after business school in food, which I loved. My first business, which was in the arts, I just didn't know if I was ever going to have salary. So I went to teaching. And so I have the skills to be up, live, off the cuff, and always trying to get a message across, or let's say connect the dots. When I went into after my business, when I finally sold it and moved on and went into investing, I decided that, investing is a pretty short endeavor. You can do it in maybe 3, 4, 5 hours a day. Whereas when I had my first business in the arts, that was also a 10 hours a day kind of thing. So I thought, gosh, I have all this time.
And what was it in the arts? So were you...
I had an art gallery. So when I left, so the many lives of Elizabeth, when I left,
The many lives.
I really, honestly,
That's great, though.
I left the Kellogg company in business, in marketing, brand management, running those 2 brands, to open an art gallery, which I did in Chicago.
You must be artistic.
I love to be around the arts for sure. I don't know if I am artistic. I'm hoping that I'm going to find out more about that as I go into my 50s, 60s, 70s. And
so you curated it at that
curated all of the art, obviously relationship management with the artists and really finding the right art for the market. So I had a glass sculpture gallery.
Ooh.
When glass was just beginning. I was representing some of the European glass masters that taught the American proteges, being Del Chihuly and others. So it was right at the forefront of all that in the 90s, which was so fun. And oddly, when I left that, I started working in investing. And I was chief investment officer for a small family office, small. But the time demands weren't the same as running my own business, and particularly a retail business. You needed weekends and all this stuff. So I thought, well, gosh, I've always loved teaching. I think I'm going to explore journalism because I've got some time and it's the same public speaking potentially. So I went to PBS in Chicago and hit them up for a TV show, and they said yes, and they did a test to see if I would be a good host, in addition to producing it and getting the other talent and the film crew, sort of like what you do here. So I had a TV show on PBS called Fear No Art, and it would take everyone behind the scenes to the lyric opera or the art gallery or the puppet show or the writers or the chef's kitchen, whatever the artist was doing. That included really broad arts, so chefs as well. It would take them behind the scenes to see how things got made. So that might mean working with the makeup artist, as I say, like at the Goodman Theater, and seeing like all the costumes and what they do, et cetera.
And showing people all the different ways you can tap into your art. I love that.
Yes, the many different faces of the arts.
So you were a host and a producer.
Yes. Well, and I'm still that chief investment officer at the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's because Chicago has no mountains to hike. You see, were there mountains to hike, then I probably would have had to choose, but I did them both at the same time.
It was your mountain.
That's my mountain, right.
And then what?
Well, so then my journalism career kept expanding, and I had a live show at the Chicago Winery. It was the beginning of the live streaming years, and the Sun-Times picked up the live stream, and we were live streaming through the Sun-Times. It was so fun. I just loved it. But then at that point, I went vegan, and I thought, oh, no, wait a minute, because we started with the animals, which is great, and then we hinted at the health and the diet implications. Woohoo! But then the more I knew about it, the more I realized the planetary implications and the damage therein and the risks around healthcare costs, because remember, I also have that finance background, so the risks around healthcare costs, pandemic risk, antimicrobial resistance. I just thought, this is an area I should give my skill set to. And I shifted in my 40s to thinking, I want my work to be purposeful. I sure do love the TV, and I didn't want to leave any of the public speaking. But I wanted to make sure that my effort and skill set was being used with intention. And I looked at this sector, the food sector, and I thought, you're not going to address climate change and pandemic risk and healthcare risk and personal health risk if you don't address food. And so that's when I thought, I'm going to use all my journalism skills and all my business skills and all my finance skills and the research skills, right, in the food sector. But from a large scale systems shift, not a brand perspective, but kind of a move mountains perspective, if you will.
I was going to say movement, yes.
Yes, movement perspective.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of what you've learned in your research and what you hope to see the food industry become.
Well, so here I realize in my 40s, okay, food is really a societal ill in so many ways, and anything that I can do with my skill set to help this would help people, planet, animals, the whole package. So I thought I'm going to start working there. And the first thing I did, because I still had that small family office that I was investing for, I thought, okay, well, part of the investment should be in food, because a way to move things is to move investment towards the change, where you'd like to see the change. And I couldn't find an investment product on the public markets. It was traded that you could, buy today, sell in 3 weeks if it's up, buy again when it's down a little bit, sell again. I couldn't find that for the family office. And so that's when I thought, I think I'm going to start a publicly traded fund around food systems transformation. And that's going to be all the innovation, starting at the beginning of the supply chain all the way to the end products. And as we've discussed, it means no meat and dairy, but it also means novel innovations, just helping regenerative agriculture, regenerative ingredients, the whole thing, all the way to the very beginning of the whole supply chain. Yeah.
Okay, so how do you just start this?
Yeah, it starts with a dash of crazy.
Okay, that's cool.
You just sort of have to, for a minute, put aside this might be hard, or this might not work, so you have to really not tap into any of that. And you have to go with, oh my gosh. And that to me is really where I live my life, in that moment of joy when you think anything is possible. Because there are many days that you don't, I speak for myself, there are many days that I don't think that. But sometimes I have that feeling, and it's just such an enormous moment of joy that I try to roll with it. So that's what happened here. I tapped into this, society needs this tool so that they can invest in it. So I started researching how we could list a fund on the New York Stock Exchange. So just for people who don't know what a fund is, think of if you go to the grocery store and you say okay, so I'm going to have this healthy diet for myself. So I'm going to pick some rice, I'm going to pick some beans, I'm going to pick some veggies, I'm going to get some fruit, some sparkling water. Maybe I'll get some plant-based burgers, get some plant-based sausage, and I'll get some healthy crackers. And there you go. I'm going to put everything into, and I'm human, so I'm going to get some dairy-free ice cream, and because not everything is a salad. And I'm going to put it in my bag, and I'm going to walk out of the grocery store, and I'm going to have this basket, this bag of groceries. Well, that's exactly what a fund is. It's all of the companies that you'd like to invest in along a certain theme. And so this is the first ETF. It's an ETF that we have. It's called the VegTech Food Innovation and Climate ETF. Exchange traded fund. It's traded on the New York Stock Exchange, and it's a fund. So
that's back to this, it's a basket. The fund equals the basket.
The fund equals the basket. My job is to upload this entire, meaning get it built, the entire business, make the strategic partnerships so that we can trade on the New York Stock Exchange, do the public speaking around it, all the marketing and all the sales. I work with a portfolio manager, and we decide the companies together, but he's really focusing on financial research and the numbers. Just because a company is doing a product that is not detrimental to the planet doesn't mean it's a well-run company. So you really got to figure out the best-in-class companies. It has to be more than aligning with the theme. They have to be well-run companies.
Exactly. And do the people that invest in it, do they know the companies that are in the basket?
They have access to all of that information. Now, some people maybe don't read about every company, but it's all right there on the website.
Right. So some people that aren't detail oriented like myself would say, okay, I believe in this purpose, and I want to invest in this fund and trust you and your people that you've done the research, and go, okay, I'm just going to go for that.
I think initially that's what motivates people, but then it's not just that all the companies are listed, all the performance of how we've done, the basket has done, is there too. So you don't have to be in the dark in any way, shape, or form. It's so transparent. This is what I love about it. It's so transparent. You can see what's in the fund, how it's performed for the day, for the week, for the month, for the 3 months, 6, 9 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. You can see all that.
And so you said you have, big, so large cap, so all the different sizes
of companies. So what you like about having a grocery basket of companies, you just hop on Fidelity or Schwab or Robinhood, your app, just get to the computer, you plug it in, it all comes up for you, you look at it, and you can buy it right there. It's really so easy. And you can sell it 3 weeks later if you want to, or you can buy it, and then if you want to buy a house, you can sell it. And then this is what's so nice. It's so flexible for people.
You can see transparently how all of the different companies within the fund are doing. I love that. One question I had is, so do you, I would imagine this has to be yes, someone in the basket isn't performing well, or a major management change or leadership change, can you kick them out of the basket?
Sure.
Yeah. And your company does that.
Yes.
But if I invest in that, I can't say, Elizabeth, I really want you to kick these people out because they're
You sure can. You can email me, and people do.
Oh, do they? Okay. I bet they do.
They never ask me to kick someone out, but people do email me and say, why did you pick this one? And I love that because, well, we made this fund for other people, because when I was wanting to invest in this for the small family office and we couldn't, I didn't want that for them. I wanted them to have the financial exposure so that they could get the upside. And I wanted them to also be able to invest in a way that they believe. We're back to aligning our actions with our values, which is really the basis for this whole company. Many people feel strongly that they want their dollars to go to the things they want for their kids, not the things they don't want, like more pandemics, like pollution in your water, like deforestation, like biodiversity loss. A lot of people don't want these things. So I'm happy that people are looking into the fund because it's for them, and that the power of your dollars. I mean, there's a study that we did on our fund, and we're just really proud of this. If you were to change your diet 100%, and let's face it, most people aren't. I mean, I'm thrilled if someone wants to eat like I do, but I don't think for a second that the world's going vegan. I don't think for a second. Okay, wait, let me rephrase. The world's not going vegan, people. No one thinks the world's going vegan, even me. I'm just hoping that there's less pressure on the planet by intensive factories. There's a little bit of a reduction by consumers. That means more choice for consumers. So they get to put other things on their plate that they might really like and they just haven't tried or given experience to.
Exactly. I mean, I think there's so many times that, we've shopped at Costco and you have a dip and I'm like, this is so good. And then I'm like, oh, it's plant-based. And it's just surprising, but
and it's so
it shouldn't be
surprising.
surprising to me because we do a lot of things with plant-based and flavoring plant-based and some beautiful stuff. Some that need some love, but some that's really good.
Some that do need love. Just at the very beginning of the innovation curve. I mean, it's so exciting because when you think about food and commodities, it's kind of like a ho-hum food in terms of a market perspective. These aren't stocks that jump up and down like big tech stocks. But food tech is this interesting hybrid of innovation coming to a very staid traditional sector. So I think it's a very exciting time to be in this shift. And I do believe firmly it's shifting. There's no way back, actually, at this point. It is an inevitable shift. I do believe that there will be less meat and more options. So I'm excited for that.
Especially, I mean, I know that you and I both believe this. I mean, in order to feed this growing population, we have to do something different. So I agree that anything we can do to help manage our resources, water, earth, little micro shifts in our daily lives aren't going to hurt that much.
No, my gosh, no. It's actually be more fun. It's really better for the consumer to have more choices. I sort of liken it to, I think of the all holy potato chip. Now, you are here from Chicago. Do you remember Jay's potato chips?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
My sweet molasses. That was my first field trip as a kid, going to the Jay's potato chip plant.
And warm off the line is, I've been to it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
You've never had a potato chip quite like that.
Oh my God. And I think what could be better? Potato, oil, salt. What could you do to improve the potato chip? Well, as it turns out, I guess a lot. You can bake it, you can fry it. You can have a pita chip, a veggie chip, a sun chip. I'm not even sure what that is, but gosh, we have them. You can have veggie chips, you can have corn chips. They're yellow, they're blue, they're in a bag, they're in a can. An entire aisle is dedicated for the consumer to have choices around something that needs no choices because it's beautiful. It's a potato chip. So that's what meat will be like. Yes, we all love meat, but you're going to start to have more choices. And this is good for the economy. This is good for workers' jobs, and this is good for the consumer. And the flip side is not good for the consumer. It's pretty scary. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, 1 in 11 people goes food insecure around the world. You might not feel it here in the US. 1 in 11 is a really big number.
Yes.
And as we move into, less land and less water with climate change and more demand for meat, which takes land and water, you're running into some stats that are going to be very painful. For Africa, it's 1 in 5 people go food insecure.
Wow.
And when Africa, an entire continent, is food insecure, that's a national security issue for the U.S. because people don't hang around when they're hungry. They go get food from other places. So, the Department of Defense is spending 20% of their R&D grants on food innovation because food insecurity around the world is an issue of national security.
So say more about that.
So when you think of R&D innovations, you think of ameliorating something from an innovative and technological standpoint so that you can this is what we need to, this is the equation we need to solve. We need to produce more food that is more nutritious in a shorter amount of time using fewer resources while creating less damage. And that's an issue of national security. That's an economic issue. And those two things are being addressed by the Department of Defense spending on R&D innovation in food. Things like growing microbes. Now, you probably might be thinking, microbes? Who's ever going to meet a microbe? Okay, but hold on, I haven't tried it yet. Let's just get
Microbes
there,
are pretty cool.
Microbes. So neither plant nor animal, its own kingdom, super clean protein, super prolific protein. So the amount of protein you can get from mass fermenting microbes in the same way we mass ferment beer. So if you've ever had beer, you've had fermentation.
Exactly.
So
pickles.
Yes, you had pickles, you've had tea, you've had so much. Kimchi, not for me, but it exists, and other foods. So we can now ferment microbes. Same amount of protein you would get from a cow in 1.5 to 2 years, all that water. So all the antibiotics that the cow's getting, because it's living in its own, butt to snout and feces, that goes into the water, right? Because where are they going to the bathroom? These are all going into our water. All that land they use, all the deforestation, cut down trees to grow crops that have fiber and protein. Are we giving that food to people? No, we're giving it to animals. And so all this land, water, and time. Same amount of protein for 1.5 to 2 years in 3 to 4 hours. So these are big. These are big and meaningful. So Department of Defense investing in that, and alternative egg yolks and sustainable oils. I mean, not everything is meat and dairy. Finding alternatives to palm oil. Can't continue to deforest. 41% of the world's tropical deforestation because of animal factories.
And I know we talked about nature's fine too. So that just reminded me of that conversation. I think that there are answers out there that definitely haven't been discovered yet, and that's pretty cool stuff.
It's really exciting. I mean, I think of this as like, I'm so happy I get to live through this because it's going to happen in my lifetime. This is not a 30-year out plan. I think you're going to see this. You already see it. So probably 10 years ago, maybe 1 in 3 restaurants had a non-meat dairy option. Now almost every restaurant has one, if not 2. So still not huge. People are still ordering meat all the time, but there's more options for people than you've ever had before. And that's just going to continue.
And do you feel like in different stages, I'm thinking of my mom who is now 90, but somewhere around 80, she went vegan.
Your mom went vegan? Yeah. Oh my God, why are you interviewing me? Interview your mom.
She's funny. She's very funny. And it's funny that at like 80, and it was before she had dementia that she went vegan. And she was just like, but I was getting to the point of, I think, digesting.
Yes.
For her, it was that. It was like, it just doesn't, why? I don't feel good anymore. Yeah.
Most people are freaked out about protein. Where are you going to get your protein? Where are you going to get your protein? I did an interview with John Sally, former basketball player for the Chicago Bulls and for the LA Lakers, 4-time champion in basketball. He always says, people are asking me about my protein, but stop asking me about my protein. Ask me about my fiber. Because if you don't know where you get your fiber, then you've got problems. You've got high cholesterol, you've got diabetes, you've got colorectal cancer, you've got heart disease. Meat, that chunky, heavy thing, has 0 fiber, which is so funny because you look at it and you're like, but it's fibrous, but it has no fiber. So that heavy thing is not going to move through your system. It's going to sit in your system. So it makes sense that as people get older, it's harder to digest. It took me a while to find my voice, and I found it. I've changed my diet. That's got power too, but nothing's going to be as powerful as your dollars. So if there are things you don't want to see in the world, and that might be food for you or animal welfare or human health or planetary health, but it might be oil and gas or other things, you want to see electric vehicles on the road sooner rather than later, get to investing, folks. That is the fastest way to see the world you want, to get it to happen.
What do you think is the legacy that the food industry should leave behind?
You know, there's so many things that make up the food system. You couldn't have the food system that you have now if you didn't have certain policy written to protect that food system and let it build its high walls. So, you've got oil and gas lobby, transportation lobby. You have a very strong meat lobby. It's protected by, a society that has built that to be the case. So I think when I say, what do I want the food industry to be its legacy, I have to count policy in this. Otherwise, you wouldn't really have a full systems change. And so I would like to see several things, and that is a food system that takes all of the stakeholders into account. So not just the investors and not just the business owners, but the people eating the food. I would like the people eating the food to have more options, healthier options, and options that work for a society that doesn't damage the ground beneath their feet while they're eating it. So I'd like to see all stakeholders represented, and I would like to see courage. I would like to see the courage for change, because no one likes to change, except maybe you and me. we really think it's like fun and sexy, but okay, we're a little cray-cray maybe, as discussed.
A little bit.
A little bit. So I'd like to see the courage to embrace better business models that do indeed make for better profit margins because it uses less resources. Now, it takes some shifting, and that can feel uncomfortable, but I'd like the courage to move from taking pen to paper to move really to action, to making that food system better for all stakeholders. And that includes government, you too.
And as you're saying that, I'm thinking collaboration, which I think we're getting better at as an industry of, we might be experts in this, but then there's, other companies that are great at that. And it's going to require, I think it requires the coming together.
Yes. I love that you say this kind of from a very distant perspective. Something that I think is going to help that is AI. And I know that sounds strange, but with AI, I think you're going to see more transparent supply chains. Younger consumers want to know where their clothes come from, where everything comes from.
And that when they buy a pair of shoes, that there's a shoe given away. Like Tom's,
so great. And that's going to push companies to find answers to sustainability sooner.
For all of our CPG companies that we call on, it is number one priority.
Really?
It is. It definitely is. Bigger yet even in the UK, definitely even more so there. But it's a non-negotiable that we're all at least moving the needle, and benchmarking and getting better, which that's
awesome.
Different and awesome. And
right.
yeah,
optimistic.
I love it. What is one of your, it's a core belief to me or a core value.
Yeah.
Or so tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I'll say that I do have my own podcast. And one of the things that I ask at the end of my podcast is, what do you wish you knew 10 years ago that you know now? So I'll answer that question kind of in this frame, which is, I wish I knew 10 years ago that I have some habits that disempower me. And I don't want to do anything in my life that disempowers me. So it's good for me to review some of my behaviors, habits, old ways, and be willing to take a very candid eye and look, because maybe I can shift that a little, change that a little, take it up a notch, because I don't want to do anything that would disempower me and have me working against me. And I see others do it to themselves as well.
I totally understand what you're saying. And it's those self-deprecating things that we say and we don't even know we're saying it. Do you call out your friends and family when you hear them say something like that, or do something to disempower themselves? Do you help them see it?
I just counteract it because it's the easy job, of course. I just counteract it. It's so easy for me to be positive about other people. So when I see it, I always just say, like, that's not true. I don't see that at all. I think you're fantastic, or I saw you do this and that was great, or that was courageous, or that was brave, or that was beautiful, or that was kind, or that was loving, or, so I just try to hit the highs with other people when I can. I mean, it feels really great to be able to tell other people, like, you're killing it out there.
Exactly.
So I try not to point out where they misstepped, but more like all the fab that I see.
Mm-hmm. I just learned this new word, which I'm probably slow on the uptake because I don't like watch enough stuff like the news or whatever, but the Jamie Lee Curtis hype, women that hype other women up. Did you know that?
Oh.
Like, it's really along the same concept of cheering for each other.
100%.
There's enough room for all of us,
Oh my
and
gosh,
really not
yes.
having to
Yes.
compete and bring other women down to make it like it's really going out of style again.
Totally dead. And that's the action part of it. But that internal talking that you do to yourself, that constant comparison to others, must stop.
It must. It must.
Must stop. Yeah.
That's great advice. It doesn't get you anywhere, and it kind of leads you to the social media thing. It's like, kind of a necessary evil in our worlds a little bit, but
I know. How do you handle the social media thing? Are you like on it all the time?
I just don't have time for that anymore. Like Facebook, it's like if you're either on or off. Like if you miss somebody's birthday, you feel guilty, but like I'm just never on that one. And one of the women at dinner has 9-year-old twins, and she was saying yesterday during the podcast, I think, that they don't have phones yet. And I mean, 9 is still pretty young, but she's going to try to get them to high school, I believe she said. But she made this profound point that I had never thought of. She's like, it needs to be a law that kids can't have a phone by X. Her kids have, because I'm like, sports start, you need to find them and stuff. But like that's when my kids started getting a phone, because it's like, I'm picking you up, I'm not whatever. And she's like, the Fitbit works, their watches work as that. But she's like, wouldn't it be easier so I wouldn't be the weird mom and dad?
Yeah.
If it was a law that you can't have a phone till 15. And I'm like, I've never thought of that.
Yeah, I love that. That's why policy really comes with everything. Yeah, I don't spend any time on social media because I find it depressing as F.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you're saying. It's that whole comparison thing. And it's not hard to do your job without it. I mean,
No, it isn't. And I also, early in this conversation, we were talking about I want to get as much out of every day as I can. And so I want to live my best life. And be compassionate with myself. Like, not every day is a 10-mile hike. Some days they're 6 or 7 or whatever your hurdle is that day. But I want to be living it. I don't want to be living someone else's life. I want to live my own life. So if my life is a film, I should be the lead actor. It's my life. So I feel like social media really disempowers me. That's an easy one. So I just don't do it anymore.
What's your promotion tool?
So I write all the social media. I mean, I write because they're like little ads, little commentaries, because I love to be creative. So I just use social media as a little bit of a creative outlet. My thoughts on this, my favorite quote from this woman,
So you put it out in the world.
I put it out in the world. I don't
and then you just
hang out.
And then
I know.
you just
I
let it go.
don't hang out there.
No, I like that.
Yeah.
Don't worry about if anyone likes it or not. I wrote it. I liked it. I'm good with that.
I move on. Yeah.
I get that.
So my numbers aren't going to be what the climbing folks are doing, but I just can't. It's just I can't live my life that way. I don't know.
And you don't need to. I mean, there's definitely people that listen to you. I mean, they go to you for advice.
You have your community.
So, Elysabeth, what is the legacy that you would like to leave behind?
I would like to see a food system shift in my lifetime. I would like to think that the work that I do now makes meaningful steps towards change. And if I can do that and still enjoy all the joys of the planet, so cooking and delicious food and music and art and nature, if I can be a recipient to these things and be in that flow of giving and receiving at the same time as moving the needle forward, I will feel like, all right, people, I can leave now. Done my job.
You make balance in life look easy.
Ooh.
You
I mean,
do,
you just
you
have to
do.
have a lot of energy and a lot of zest, I think.
Yeah, and keeping it all together. Well, it's been my pleasure, and thank you so much for being here. And
Thanks
I
for
can't
having
wait
me.
for a little after the show with you if we have
Great.
some time.
Great.
I have had so many light bulb moments from this conversation. Elizabeth really showed us that true innovation comes from staying curious and taking leaps of faith. By channeling investment dollars into plant-based solutions, she's helping drive a more resilient, sustainable food supply, one that cares for animals, people, and our planet. If you'd like to connect with Elizabeth and learn more, head over to VegTechInvest.com and find Elizabeth on LinkedIn. Thank you for joining us on Owning Your Legacy. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.